Welcome to the How Journey podcast, where we discuss daily challenges that everyone faces and how to conquer it. I'm your host, Melandri Clausen, an occupational therapist pending. Today's topic is stress and how to manage it. We will be discussing why you experience stress, the different types of stress you can experience, and how to cope with this stress. So, the reason why you can experience stress differ from individual to individual. You are your own unique person, but the majority of circumstances that leads to stress is your environment can lead to stress, your mental health and your emotional status can be of some sort that leads to stress. It can be that you don't know how to deal with just normal daily stress and it builds up like a cup overflowing and you don't know how to deal with it. That can lead to a bad type of stress. So, while I'm talking about the bad type of stress, you actually get two types of stress. You get eustress and distress. Eustress is a healthy type of stress. It's that stress that gets you out of bed in the mornings when you need to study for a big test. You kind of feel motivated to do the thing because it's important to you. Where distress is where you struggle to do your day to day functionings. For instance, you struggle to get out of bed to go and study for that big test because it's overwhelming you and you just feel like it's getting too much and you'd rather just stay in bed where you feel safe than get out of bed and go study for that test that you're scared of. So, before we go into the different types of coping skills you get and how you're going to apply coping skills in your life, I think you need to understand that coping skills are like running a marathon. It is not something that you saw today, oh, okay, there's a marathon tomorrow, and you do research about it and you go jog that day and you go run that marathon. It's not like that. Like, you can't do that with a marathon, you can't do that with coping skills. You actually need to practice, you need to exercise. It's something that needs to become a routine in your life where you don't even have to think about it to apply it. So, the challenge for this week is to take these steps that I'm going to share with you today and apply it to your life daily and see where do you need it and journal about it so that you can actually track it and build that habit and routine. The steps to accomplish healthy coping skills is quite easy to understand, but yet again, it's something that you'll need to practice daily. Therefore, I encourage you now to write down these steps. I will say, like, step one is this, step two is that. So, without further ado, let's start with step one, and that is to identify your triggers. And that differs really from person to person. And even if it feels small to you, like, this is a dumb reason to be stressed, write it down. It's still a trigger. It's something that's bothering you. It's something that's causing you not to function how you want to function daily. So write all those down. If you don't like writing, make a voice memo of all your triggers and triggers that causes you stress. For instance, if you feel work is causing you a lot of stress, write down specifically what about work is causing you stress. Is it the amount of work? Is it the people at work? Is it your boss? Is it whatever it might be? Just write it down and be specific about it, because that will help you when you face that trigger to actually recognize it, be like, oh yeah, this is a trigger of mine, and take a step back to then choose what coping skill you're going to use in the moment and what coping skills you are going to use generally. Um, so that just helps us to see the bigger picture and take a step back. So that is step one. It's an emotional draining step if you do it, because in that moment you need to think about everything that is triggering you, and it might trigger you to write down those things. But I think it's a really good step to face your fears, and just continue with the next steps, so that you like don't write down step one and do that and don't continue with step two, because that step two is where we start focusing on the healthy coping skills that we want to apply. Okay, so step two that you need to write down is choosing healthy coping skills. Before we go into the healthy coping skills, you need to understand that there's two types of coping skills: the problem focused coping skill and the emotional focused coping skill. Problem focused coping skill is where you face the problem by solving it. Yeah, you solve your problem. But it's like you take your problem and you break it down into something smaller. So let's say you've done step one, you've identified your trigger, you're now in a real life situation where your trigger is in front of you. It is a big deadline in a week's time, and you feel like you're not going to be able to complete it. Now you identified your trigger, you take a step back and you're like, okay, this is my trigger. I'm stressing. This is bad stress. It's distress because I don't feel motivated to do this anymore, or I feel like I can't do it, so I don't want to do it. Or if I'm doing it, it feels like I'm not doing it correctly. Okay, so you've identified that it's distress and it's a trigger. Okay, then you go to your problem solving or problem focused coping skill. That is where you face the problem and you will break the problem down into smaller tasks. So for this one, it's the deadline. You break it down into daily tasks, and you can even break down your day into hourly tasks, which can help you to accomplish your bigger goal. And it can take the stress away because you are solving that problem. So that is the first type of coping skills. The second type of coping skills is the emotion focused coping skills. So these are the coping skills where you get that healthy dopamine kick. It's the coping skills where you do it daily, and you can even do it literally every minute of every day, some of them. So those are the coping skills which helps you to have healthy um healthy regulations of your hormones, so that the cortisol don't spike too much. For instance, mine is dancing. I love dancing. Every time after dance, I experience so much joy and peace, and it usually helps me to continue with my day. So that is one example, is exercising. It helps a lot. Listening to music. A lot of people say listening to music just gives them that healthy dopamine kick. It makes them feel better, experiencing joy and peace. Then you get more things that you need to think about, like journaling or mindfulness. There's actually a few apps on the App Store which you can use to help you guide mindfulness. If you don't know what it is, go just go have a look at these apps, because it helps you to live in the here and now. That's how we in occupational therapy say it. It's you need to live in the here and now. What's in front of you is what you're doing. You're not thinking about something else. You are not doing something else while you need to do this thing in front of you. So that is the other type of coping skills. Again, emotional focused coping skills. And this one can differ really from person to person. And I want to say, I just thought about this now. If you are someone that feel like you've tried every coping skill and it does not work for you, just keep looking. Honestly, go into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT what types of coping skills are there. I enjoy this, that, and that. And ChatGPT will give you a list. And if you've done everything on that list, ask ChatGPT, please give me more examples, and go try it out. Try coping skills until you've experienced a coping skill that works for you, the emotional focus coping skills. Healthy coping skills can get you so far in life, especially if the emotional focused one, if you do it daily, it just brings you so much more joy in life when you do things that you enjoy doing and that is meaningful to you. So yeah, that was step two. Go try and figure out what emotional focused coping skills you would enjoy doing, and also try and face your problems, solve it, and take that step back while you're solving it. Don't make decisions while you are stressed. First, do breathing exercises before you make the decision on how you're going to do the problem focused coping skill. So, the third step that you need to write down that you need to do is set a predictable routine for yourself. And this is not now set like every minute of every day what you are going to do. No, that's going to give you more stress. It's going to become a trigger. You're going to add it in step one. Not that. We want to set a predictable routine for things that we can control and things that we enjoy doing, so that when things becomes out of control, you know that this thing stays the same. For instance, taking your breakfast every day at the same time. At 7 o'clock, you know you're going to wake up at 6, 7 o'clock, I'm going to eat my breakfast and then I'm going to leave for work. Or let's say you enjoy jogging. Okay, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to go for a jog. And let's say you're a social person as well. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm seeing people that I enjoy spending time with. So then when you had a bad day at work, you have the predictable routine of, okay, but it's fun. I'm going to go for a jog. And that's something you're going to enjoy because it's going to be meaningful to you. And that's something you need to add in your daily lives is meaningful things. You can't just go through life not doing meaningful things because you're not going to cope well with bad times then. We look forward to going to do the things that we enjoy doing. And that helps us when we are in difficult situations. When we are feeling a lot more emotional and you experience anxiety, it helps to experience that predictability of, I am going to do the things that I still enjoy doing. The second last thing that you need to do, or it's not even like a step, it's now beyond step 4, but it's not necessarily a step, but it's something that you can maybe work on if you don't have it, or try looking for it if you don't have it, and if you do have it, to maintain it. So that is having a support network. You sometimes people forget just how important your friends and family are, how they can help you throughout life. When you're experiencing stressful situations, you can go to them and ask them for advice. People that are older than you, they've experienced that. You can go to them and ask for advice. So to maintain that relationship, really important. But also, if you don't have it, try and build it somewhere. Go to church, your local community church. Go and experience new people and see where you can build your own support network. Join smaller groups. Or you can even start joining the gym at your community. Just the best way to usually start building this support network is to join your community's social events, and that's where you can learn new people, you can experience new relationships and see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And that way you can build your support network. Do not be scared to go build those relationships. I know it can be intimidating from time to time, but if you really want that support network, I would encourage you to go out into your community where it's safe. Please don't go where it's unsafe. Go to a safe place in your community where you can experience new relationships and you can build that network. The last and most important step, in my opinion, is that if you are experiencing a type of stress where you feel like you can't continue with your daily life, you feel like you're experiencing panic attacks, you feel just useless in a sense, or just you feel like you can't do this alone and your support network is not helping you, and you know that this is not a good pathway you walking down, please go get professional help. Go to your local clinic, go to your local psychologist, you can go to counselors at churches. Just go get the professional help then that you need, and don't feel shy to go get that. It's okay. Everybody experiences things differently, and it's okay if you are experiencing something that you feel like you're not allowed to experience to this maximum level of a problem, if I can say it like that. So yeah, just please go get the help that you need and make sure that you always put your mental health first. Thank you very much for joining the Health Journey podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, and please give a thumbs up and subscribe if you feel like you understand stress and how to manage it better. Please also share this podcast to anyone that you think might benefit from it, and have a blessed week.